Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chef Tawnya Brant, and today we're going to make some trout fish cakes. So I had a buddy of mine bring me some awesome trouts the other day, so we cleaned those up, and this is some of the meat that was left over from it. So we were going to do a quick YouTube video on a way to prepare it. Okay, so these are the nice fillets we have left over here. I'm actually going to mince them up for the patties, so I'll get to right away to work on that. Yeah, so what I'm doing is just kind of cutting in about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 an inch or inch like strips. And then we're going to cut them along the other way, and then we're going to use the knife to just to chop them up because we want to mince this up nice and fine. Is there another one? Might have got them both. Okay. All right, and that's your a good chance too to make sure you got all those pin bones out. I just found one, so I thought I did a good job with it, and I just used like regular needle nose pliers to get those pin bones out. Now we got these nice big chunks. You're just going to go in with your knife and start getting them a little smaller. If you have a meat cleaver, that's perfect for this job. Give you an excuse to get it out of your drawer. So, and we want to get this nice and fine so it'll make some nice patties that'll stick together really well for us. So what I'm doing right now is mincing up the trout, and you can see I'm just to get right through it so you're not here all day. But you can see it's really coming together, and the chunks are getting nice and small now, so these will really help when we go to bind it, since we want them to stick together. When you get nice big chunks, it's nice, but they're more likely to fall apart. All right, so I have this all nice and minced now, and I'm going to throw it into my bowl here that we're just going to throw all of our ingredients into, and that's where we're going to mix them all up for our fish cakes. I have a couple of more ingredients here that I'm going to cut up. I have a little bit of celery, and I also foraged this morning some of our wild onions. They're in season right now. This one I took the root so you can see it and see what the root looks like. And then you'll see on some of the other ones I didn't take that part because you like to leave the bulb because we want to encourage the regrowth for next year. So that's just a sustainable way of harvesting. So we don't really need the bulb part. It's nice to have. It's like a regular onion. It's a little bit more like a garlicky onion kind of taste. If you don't have these though, because they do have a really short season, you can also just substitute it with scallion. Okay, so we're going to prep some of the other ingredients that are going to go in with our fish cakes. I have the wild onion here, and I'm just cutting the ends, the root tips off. I don't know if it makes a difference, probably not, but I'll take these and like throw them outside, like in the bush beside my house, and hope that one day there will be a nice plot of wild onions that grow there. I don't know if that will happen, but so these bigger pieces here, I'm going to take them and mince them up nicely. And so that'll be nice onion flavor throughout the cakes. In our area, we're really used to really light tasting fish like pickerel, whitefish, things like that. Trout tends to have a little bit of a stronger flavor, and I know a lot of people don't really catch trout for eating. It's more for catch and release, but definitely an edible fish when you're not being picky. Use about that much there. And these can be saved, just throw it right in with your salad or soups, even wilted into like pastas, things like that. So those are good too. Don't throw those out. They're good. And you can also dry them if you're into making your own spices. They're spice rubs. You can make it'd basically be like an onion salt if you want to mix it with salt. So we're going to take the wild onion. We're going to add that to our fish. I'll get rid of those because they're not the prettiest. And I also have some celery here. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there, just because I like it. I like the crunch and the flavor, and I have a little bit better flavor profile. I'm just cleaning that along because you don't want huge pieces in your fish cakes, because if you put big pieces in there, they're more likely to like fall apart when you're frying them. Just with the big pieces, it just makes it easier for everything to bind with the nice small pieces. Should be enough there. Here's our celery's all cut now. We're going to throw that in with our fish and wild onions. I'm also going to put an egg in there. I'm pretty proud of this. These are from my chickens. Are there many?
Yeah. How many? You gonna count them after?
So those are from my house. So this is a farm fresh butt nugget from my gits at home. My boys like feeding them and doing all their little chicken stuff. So they're pretty excited to get chickens again because we hadn't had them for about the last year. What else are we gonna put in here? Some seasoning. So I have some smoked paprika here. You can use anything like smoked paprika or chili powder maybe. I even have a lovely green smoked poblano that's from my friend Spring, Alaska. She makes the Sakari Farms. I love her products. They're absolutely amazing. And this one is a smoked pinon pine salt. So I have a smoked pinon pine salt, which is actually really fragrant as well. Obviously, you can use any kind of salt you want. Use what's your favorite. If it's Himalayan, sea salt, doesn't matter. It will. It'll get the job done. And we're back. I just finished up mixing up the fish cake here. One thing I wanted to touch on is if you think there's too much moisture in there and you want to add something, I want to keep this gluten-free. So I have some just cornstarch here. I'm just sprinkling that over, and you can see it's just a little bit. So I'm just using cornstarch because I want to keep it gluten-free. You could use like tapioca powder, a bunch of flours, even probably like almond flour would even work for this. Whatever it is to make it bind for you, but I want to keep this gluten-free. So now this is all mixed together with the cornstarch. That's going to help it be that binding agent. So I'm going to take this and put it in the fridge right now. That'll help it all come together and be nice and chilled, and that will, when we form the patties, they'll stick together nicer. Okay, so we let our trout cakes, patties, croquettes, whatever you want to call them, it's all the same thing. We took that a little. So I was going to squeeze a little lime in there. I forgot earlier. Just I wanted to brighten up that flavor. You can also substitute too any herbs that you might have in your garden, like fresh basil, cilantro, naturally. Just anything that you have, really. Even some fresh parsley would just look really nice in there. You could even dice up some little like chilies, like that, just to give it that feast for the eyes. So I have my pan here now. We're going to heat that. You want it on fairly warm, typical pans like the whole 350 idea. And I'm going to put a little oil into that pan as well. And I'm just going to dish. I'm letting it heat through. I use sunflower oil. I basically use sunflower oil for everything at this point. Whatever your preference is, really. Everything, I'm a chef. I don't really use too many recipes because all of our tastes and palates are different. Okay, so we have our pan nice and hot. I'm actually going to turn it down a bit. I don't want it to get too hot. And then you can flatten it a bit so that'll make it into a nice little patty. You don't want to push it too hard because you don't want it to fall apart on you. But you see you get that nice little crispiness starting on the edges. So the trick for that is we're going to cook them about, I'd say about a third of the way through before we flip them. And you don't want to go back and forth with any protein. You just want to touch it the least amount that you have to. So with the amount of fish that I used today, between those two little fillets I used, it was probably about a pound of meat. So with that, you're going to get probably about 5 like nice size. These are, I believe, 4-ounce scoops of, so it'd be like a 4-ounce fish cake. So it's really nice. It depends on your personal taste. Some people like them nice and small and thin. Other people like them nice and big. This can also be substituted with other fish as well. Like if you have salmon, if you have whitefish, whatever you have on hand, generally you can make a fish cake with it. And ooh, this is starting to smell really good. The aromatics of the wild onion is hitting now. Those folded over really nice, and you can see that caramelization there. A bit of what the cornstarch would do is help with that caramelization. Okay, so while we're waiting for the trout cakes to cook, I have a little salad greens here, mixed greens that I'm going to use for a quick little salad to serve with them. Underneath, I just put regular old spinach that you get from the grocery store, make it nice and healthy. And I also added some, because we were cooking trout cakes today. These are trout lilies, and you see those quite a bit out, just out in the bush, the forest floor, you'll see those. This one's a little big, and they kind of get, like most greens, once they get bigger, they're bitter. So I like the little, it's kind of like little micro greeny types. So I really like that. These are important for Haudenosaunee people. I've been told we actually use these for contraceptive. I'm not quite sure how. I imagine some kind of tea. But it's just really important that Haudenosaunee women were in charge. We knew we were in charge of our own bodies and what we wanted to do. I also picked some dandelion greens, some fresh greens. They're just coming out right now here in southern Ontario. So I got some little ones in there, some nice forest flora flowers, and I cut up a little bit of the leaves from the wild onions because I wanted to incorporate that because it's nice to incorporate dishes that way. So in here I just have a little bit of sunflower oil. Once again, you could mix these together, but it's not necessary. So what I'm going to do for a quick little dressing is I have the sunflower oil. This is maple vinegar, and this is a salad dressing on its own. It's amazing. It's sweet. It smells like vinegar and maple, and it's just really yummy. My friend Kevin Feeney makes these. He's from Michigan, and this is just like, I was mind blown the first time I had this. And it's really something that if you get a chance, really get to try it. It is amazing. He's on Facebook. He does sell it. He does run out because it's well, it's really a commodity item now, but he also sells bigger jars that are like the chef size as well. But yeah, just an amazing product. Okay, so the fish cakes probably took about 3 or 4 minutes on each side, so they're cooked nice all the way through now. With most fish, you don't even have to really worry about it being undercooked because, like, go ahead and make it like a medium kind of cook on it. That's okay too. So I'm going to take probably 2 here to top our salad with. So I'm going to serve it with a fresh slice of lime because of the wild onions, so people know that they're in there. And I'm also going to top it with, I made this, is super, super fragrant. It's just a quick little pesto. And I took some of the tops that I had, those leftover tops from the wild greens. I also threw in a little handful of walnuts. I used a little bit of the maple and a little bit of the sunflower oil as well, and a little bit of that smoked pinon salt because we want to bring all those flavors together. So that smoked pinon salt I put in there as well. You could even take this and mix it with like a crema or sour cream just to make it more of like a dipping kind of sauce, because I know people really like those dipping sauces with especially with fish cakes. But yeah, and there you have it. Smoked trout cakes with a wild greens pesto and salad. Okay, and so here it is, our finished plate. It is lake trout cakes with some mixed wild greens, and I want to cut that into that for you. You can see all the love in there, and they stay together great. You add the pesto to it and just, there's your lunch. So happy eating. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you like what you've seen today. And also leave your comments in the comment section. I really enjoy just continuing the conversation with Indigenous foods. I think it's really the way to open up that conversation and have the most impact with sharing our foods. So I'll see you in the comment section. Ona.